Hello, welcome to episode 33 of Daryl Show Your Work. And this is going to be a relatively short video, but in the same vein that I did in an earlier video where I essentially show how we could use Wireshark to detect external scans into our system. I wanted to do something very similar, except for this time, I wanted to show how we could use Wireshark filters to find indicators of compromise. And these are going to be real simple solutions. So first thing that I want to do to get things started is I wanted to go into our search bar in our start menu and type in Wireshark to get it going since we're using a Windows operating system. All right, so I'm going to click on that. All right, so we're going to be working with previously a packet capture that was previously saved. So I'm going to go into open, and we're going to be working with the packet capture from January 17th, 2024. All right. So the first thing we want to take notice of is if we look down here, you may or may not be able to see it, but the number of packets that we're working with here is 25,697. All right. So this shows us why it's important for us to use packets, especially when we're looking for specific things, not packets, excuse me, using filters, especially when we're looking for things as specific as indicators of compromise. We want to be able to narrow down this traffic as much as possible so we're not looking for needles in a haystack. All right, so before jumping into or applying a particular filter, one thing we could take notice of just immediately looking at this packet stream, or this packet traffic rather, that if we look at this communication between our internal network, which is 10.1.17.101, we're communicating with an external IP address at 104.21.3.175, and it's being done through an encrypted session at port 443, which again is an encrypted HTTPS session. And so we would look at things such as this because we're communicating with an external device, and if we want to dive deeper to see that, hey, is any of this behavior anomalous, or is there any sort of anomalous activity associated with these type of communications? That's when we could start to apply filters. So let's say we wanted to look specifically for our TLS related traffic. All right. So the way we would do that is we would say TLS, and that's our transfer layer communication. All right, which is an upgrade from SSL. All right, so we would say TLS dot handshake, and we put dot type. All right, so I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so that's going to bring up all of our TLS related traffic. Again, this is our transport layer related traffic. All right, so the main things we want to look at within this line of traffic are our communication with external servers. So we know what the external servers are based upon URLs. So we see that we're talking to a website called livespoints.com, and then we're talking to another site called which a lot of people should be familiar with, is cdn.discordapp.com, which Discord is a social media site, and CDN is content delivery network, which again, that can be indicative of anything that's sharing like images, videos, things of that nature. They usually are cloud based. But then we look down here, we see something a little less familiar, and that's this thick GI band.com. So not really familiar with that, but that would be something when using a filter like this that would stand out that may cause us to investigate further into checking out what this URL is, and is it something that is malicious, known to be malicious, um, to our system or to our network, and we could plug a URL like that into, let's say, like a virus total type of site, which could confirm if it's a known malicious site or not. All right, so the next type of filter we could use it to narrow down our traffic is, let's say we want to see all of our DNS traffic, and we were using this as a means to try to find any anomalous traffic going to or from different sites. And that's our dynamic naming service. All right, so we see some of the same things we saw before, the traffic going towards Live's points, towards Discord, and towards this thick giband.com. But we also, in seeing some of this traffic that we've seen before, we're also seeing some of this traffic going to another site called broker.emqx.io. All right, and then, again, that looks even more kind of suspicious or less familiar than this thickgiband.com. But it's also showing these repeated, if we keep going, this is all these repeated back and forth communications between our network and between this broker.emqx.io site. And so when you see this type of behavior within a network, it's indicative of beaconing type of behavior. So when I say beaconing, I'm specifically talking about a command and control type of situation where, let's say, an attacker has planted something on our system and several other systems, and leaves it there, and it lies dormant for a while. Well, let's say then that attacker then activated whatever was there. Okay, they can use our system and several other systems that they planted this malware on to then perform an attack using us as bots. And let's say they do so in a distributed denial service type of attack where they use us to cause like a ping of death, or to generate so much traffic into the actual target that they were looking to attack. We and several other computers generate so much traffic into that network where it overwhelms the network and brings down their network. And now, we've caused an availability attack. And in that instance, it would be a distributed denial service attack, since it came from multiple points. And if an analyst or an investigator were to try to pinpoint the source of the attack, well, it would be hard to find the command and control server, because the attack came from so many different sources, including us, where we were just another compromised system used to attack the actual target. All right, so that's what I mean. And then when I say beaconing, that's what the activation portion of that looks like, where if that command and control server were to try to activate our system to start trying to send that malicious traffic into the actual target. That's what I mean by beaconing. And that's what this back and forth communication is between us and that command and control server, because they're trying to activate whatever seed they planted into our system. All right, so one last filter I wanted to share is a filter from a lesser used protocol, and that's the MQTT protocol. That, again, this is a protocol that allows external communication between our system and an external IP address. All right, so I'm gonna put in MQTT and hit enter. All right, so again, when we look at this traffic, we can clearly see communication between a host on our network at 10.1.17.101 and the same external destination IP address, which is at 54.146.113.169. And again, we see that same back and forth communication I mean, it's just our whole capture here when uses filters is filled with communication between that host and this external IP address. Again, this is indicative of that beaconing type of behavior that I was talking about in a command and control type of situation. So that's why it's important to also not just look at the most well-known protocols on the usual corporates, the unencrypted protocols such as HTTP, FTP, um, again, the usual suspects. You also want to look at lesser known protocols because those are the type of protocols that attackers would utilize because they know that a lot of times some analysts may not look there as far as protocols that they're using to communicate with their internal network. So those are just a few of the filters that you can use within Wireshark to narrow down your packet capture to try to find some indicators of compromise. In this example, we found indicators of compromise of a command and control scenario. And experimenting with this, perhaps you could find other type of attack vectors or other type of indicators of compromise to be able to then rid them off of your network or your enterprise network. So that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Please like, subscribe, and share. And most importantly, share your work. Until next time, take care of yourself and God bless.